Freedom! You are the doctor. Built into you is all of the wisdom of nature. That wisdom the chiropractor calls the innate intelligence of life. It knows all there is to know about healing. No doctor can cure anything. You and you alone can heal. That quote came from one of my mentors, Reggie Gold. I know I quote him a lot because he and BJ are my top two mentors. They've influenced all my other mentors. Without BJ's passion and dedication to bring chiropractic to the world, none of us would be here today because there would be no chiropractic profession. However, Reggie clarified the philosophy and got us to understand that chiropractic is not a treatment, it's a lifestyle. Once again, I'm Chiropractor Howie, and recently I spoke in Dallas to a group of students and chiropractors. It was a philosophy talk, and I decided to do mine on the miracles of chiropractic. So I'd like to share my understanding of this thing we call innate intelligence as chiropractors, which I'll be referring to as just innate from now on. I know this will bug some of my listeners, but I've been known to do that before. In this episode, we'll be exploring what innate is and what innate isn't. So let's jump in. What is innate? According to the 33 principles found in Stevenson's chiropractic textbook, a living thing has an inborn intelligence within its body called innate intelligence. The mission of innate intelligence is to maintain the material of the body of a living thing in active organization. And the function of innate intelligence is to adapt to universal forces and matter for the use of the body so all parts of the body will be coordinated action for mutual benefit. The principles go on to say the forces of innate intelligence operate through or over the nervous system in animal bodies. There can be interference to this transmission of innate forces. So what interferes with the transmission of innate forces? Subluxation. Now what causes subluxation? If any of you are thinking about the 3 T's, the thoughts, toxins, and traumas, which I refer to as mental, chemical, and physical stresses. Those things, however, are not the cause of subluxation. It's innate inability to adapt to these stresses, not necessarily the stresses themselves. Yes, those thoughts, toxins, and traumas contribute to overcoming the body's ability to adapt, leading to subluxation. And I've found that these stresses lead to the spine subluxating on a regular basis. That's why the majority of the profession gets checked and check their own family weekly. I used to have a problem with this idea. Why would we need to be checked weekly? Were we created with a flaw? Now I've come to realize that the world we live in is a man-made world with all the flaws in it. Because honestly, I've never checked a human and not found a subluxation. However, I do check animals and they do hold their adjustments. And the only ones I've ever checked are domesticated ones. So I imagine that most of their stresses come from their human owner. I'd be interested in checking a wild animal to see if there are even subluxations present. My guess is there would not be. Because maybe 50, 100 years ago, people didn't need as frequent care. We don't live in that world anymore, and it's only going to get more stressful. As such, we need to also adapt our profession and provide that need to the people. Example, my guess is that you all brushed your teeth this morning. Well, why? Well, most people would say because my teeth will fall out if I don't. So we were created for our teeth to fall out of our face from the time that we were born. What kind of sense does that make? After all, we weren't born with toothpaste, toothbrush, a floss, or even teeth for that matter. My conclusion, the foods that we eat are unnatural. They're man-made, thus necessitating us to have to brush them on a regular basis. Similar, the stresses that we deal with every day are mainly man-made, stresses that our bodies were not designed to handle. Let's compare that idea to an electrical outlet. The outlet was designed to handle so much stress before something in the house has the potential to catch fire. Well, we don't have fires when the nervous system is overtaxed or overstressed. We have organ failure or other such conditions, which leads me to my next question. Can vertebral subluxation be prevented? No. If you live in today's world, you're going to have to deal with these stresses. No way to prevent that. Sure, you can minimize it, but you can't prevent it. Much like the teeth analogy. Doesn't matter if you eat healthy foods or sweets, you still have to brush your teeth. Now this leads me into my next question. Who makes the adjustment? Well, it's the innate intelligence of the body. The best we can be is a part of that adjustment. Let's face it, all we are is just a universal force, which doesn't excuse you from becoming a master of whatever technique that you utilize. I implore you to become a master at whatever technique that you use. But more importantly, I want you all to understand that if you don't own this philosophy, the why of chiropractic, the results of your technique, good or bad, will own you. Now what innate isn't. Innate doesn't find you a parking spot, help answer a question on a test, or send you thought flashes as BJ suggested. Do these things potentially happen more often when free of vertebral subluxation? Sure, I'd say there's a good possibility. but it's not innate. Innate is too busy organizing and coordinating the many functions of the body. So what are the miracles of innate? As far as I'm concerned, the biggest miracles that happen in my office are the things that never take place because the body is functioning at its peak performance. Not the things that go away. The real miracles are the things that never happen. After all, there's a very good chance that if the person had been under lifetime care, they may not have even came down with the condition or complaint because the body was functioning the way the Creator designed it to. I'm not suggesting that chiropractic be presented as a prevention. I'm just saying that the body needs to be fine-tuned to work at its fullest potential. I have an example to put things into perspective. Let's say you bought a house and it came with a swimming pool 20-some years ago. This swimming pool hasn't seen any kind of maintenance done in all of the 20-some years after buying the house because no one told you had to maintain the pool. Despite the fact that you're basically swimming around in a cement pond, you still play in it, swim laps in it, do all the other things you do in a swimming pool, although it looks and smells more like a cesspool than a swimming pool. Then one day, a man comes along and says to you, hey man, I can go ahead and get the swimming pool clean for you and maintain it for you so you can get the most enjoyment out of it for the many years to come. At first, you're a bit skeptical, but decide that if he can make your pool time experience more enjoyable, why not? So the man goes about doing his business of cleaning your pool. Afterwards, when the man is finished, you're amazed by what you see. You can see to the bottom of the pool. It no longer smells like a sewer, nor do you when you get out of the pool. It's just an all-around much more pleasant experience compared to the swimming pool you had before. It's a miracle! Well, in actuality, there's nothing miraculous about it. It's what should have been done from the very beginning, when the house was bought over 20-some years ago, instead of waiting until it became a crisis situation. Chiropractic is no different. If those people who experienced the miracles and cures while under chiropractic care had been under care from the moment of their birth, these miracles and cures would have probably been taking place all along without them even being perceived. People need to understand that they would get the most out of chiropractic care by maintaining their spines on a lifetime basis, from the moment that they take their first breath till they take their last breath, just as chiropractors do for themselves and their families. Chiropractic care is a lifestyle, not a treatment for some kind of condition or complaint. Until people understand this important difference, chiropractic will continue to be viewed as some sort of treatment or therapy for a condition or complaint instead of being utilized from womb to the tomb to maintain the vital communication of life between the brain and the body through the nerve system to allow the body to be able to function and perform at its maximum potential. As BJ stated, the chiropractor opens channels of communication between innate and your body, lets it flow to where it is needed, and from then on is up to innate within you to get you well, something no man on the outside can do. What innate looks like in the practice. First off, I just want you all to understand that you don't have to get people in the office to use the term innate intelligence or even communicate the word innate to them. However, they do need to understand the concepts behind innate, that we are a self-healing organism, that everyday life and everyday stresses can interfere with how well the self-healing and organization can happen. People don't need to understand the philosophy to the level that we do to get the benefits of care. They just need to get in on a weekly basis. If they got the philosophy to the level that you do, they would no longer be in your office because they'd be attending some chiropractic school. Now, innate does come into play when it comes to my technique that I use in my office. I use a technique that utilizes innate in its methodology to determine when and where vertebral subluxation is present, and using the same methodology to determine if the vertebral subluxation has been cleared out after the adjustment. When you understand what innate is trying to do with the vertebrae, you can determine by feeling the muscles attached to the vertebrae which direction innate is trying to pull the vertebrae. Once that is determined, it's just a matter of assisting innate in making the correction that it is already trying to make. And after the application of the adjustment, you recheck to determine if the adjustment is actually made. The developer of chiropractic said, only innate intelligence within each person knows the need of its every cell and every viscus and organ. Innate knows. Educated man guesses. I know when it comes to practice and educating your folks on care, you have a choice. I want you to consider, what if you got people to understand that chiropractic is about proper function and needs to be done at least once a week on a lifetime basis? Would that change your practice life? Imagine if you implemented this into your practice. Over time, would the quality of the clients improve? And that they need to continue with care on a lifetime basis to really benefit. When this truth is communicated, people tend to continue with care. That's why I created this YouTube channel, to help chiropractors build the practices of their dreams, to give people in their community the opportunity to receive the same frequency of care that we and our families receive week after week, year after year, decade after decade. My goal has always been to get chiropractors to understand that it's possible to have a practice that's sustainable, where people come in on a lifetime basis, just as we do for ourselves and our families, week after week, year after year, decade after decade. If we don't maintain this truth in our practice, chiropractic has the potential to be lost to all of humanity. Only we can keep that from happening. Now is the time. People are ready to hear our truth. When people begin to understand our truth, practice becomes an enjoyable experience. People coming in weekly with their families, not as a treatment, but as a lifestyle. And with this change comes freedom!